And with that, I will hand it over to Maryland State Senator Jim Rosapep. Go ahead.
Hi, on behalf of Delegate Eric Barron, my co-leader in this effort over the past year or more, and all the folks involved in the Biden for Maryland campaign, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We have a big announcement today. Over 200 Maryland leaders, community leaders, elected officials, former elected officials from our 2 U.S. senators who are joining us today, including our statewide officials, Treasurer Nancy Kopp, Attorney General Brian Frost, county executives, members of Congress, many others are joining today in this announcement. They reflect the diversity of our state geographically in every possible way. Vice President Biden is the presumptive Democratic nominee. His former competitors, terrific candidates for president, have rallied around him. But we in Maryland do not take Maryland voters for granted. The vice president doesn't take Maryland voters for granted. And right now, Marylanders are voting for president for their choice in the June 2nd primary. So we want to just get out the word and let people know how united we are to get Joe Biden the votes he needs on the 2nd to win the delegates in Maryland, go on to win the nomination, and get elected president. With that, Senator Cardin.
Well, first, to Senator Rosapep and Delegate Barron, thank you for your leadership on behalf of Joe Biden. I want to underscore, a lot of us on the call today, our first message is that we have an election in 1 week. We want to make sure people vote. And most Marylanders are going to vote by mail. So please make sure you get your mail marked, postmarked by June 2nd, a week from today. And you get it either delivered by mail or put into one of the collection boxes. And there will be an opportunity to vote on next Tuesday, but we do urge people to vote before next Tuesday and to vote by mail. Get your vote in. This is the most consequential election in our lifetime. President Trump has mismanaged and misinformed the American people since day one. Now in a national emergency, we see just how dangerous his leadership has been. So on June 2nd, Marylanders can show unity behind Joe Biden, can show that we are united to make sure that Joe Biden is elected the next president of the United States. Joe Biden has shown steady hand. He has he is there to restore America's global leadership, which is so desperately needed. Look, it's been clear to the international community and to Americans that America's values are being questioned by this administration. We need a president who will stand up for American values, for democratic principles, for the right of equality and opportunity for all citizens, that trusts good science and experts and puts the interests of America before his own self-interest. Joe Biden has that steady hand, that integrity, that leadership that we need for America, and it's now more important than ever before. That's why there's a large group today on this call, but even a larger number that will vote on June 2nd to show that Marylanders are united for Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States.
Thank you, sir. Let's go now to Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Well, thank you, and thank all of you who are joining us today. And I also want to thank Senator Jim Rosapep and Delegate Eric Barron for co-chairing Marylanders for Biden. And we all know that we are at an incredible inflection point in our country. And we need somebody in the White House who has a steady hand to lead us out of the chaos, and somebody who knows how to chart a bright future for all Americans. And that person is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is uniquely ready and qualified to meet this moment in our history. And we know he's somebody who is going to be there for every American. There's a reason people called him Lunchbox Joe. He's a kid who grew up in a working class family in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He understands the importance of dignity of work, of a good paycheck, of retirement security that can never be taken away, and of affordable health care for all. Joe Biden is all about. He's about delivering a better future for every single American. And at this moment, I know the American people are sick and tired of the chaos and of the division in our country. And I have had the privilege of working with Joe Biden on a number of issues over a number of years. And I know he has the temperament, the judgment, and determination to unite our country, to lead us out of this chaos, and to address the major challenges that America faces here at home and abroad. And so on June 2nd, it's the first time Marylanders can get out there and show their support for Joe Biden as the first step to making sure that we do that in November. So I'm really pleased to join with my colleague, Senator Cardin, with all the others who are joining us today to really encourage and urge Marylanders to get out there, exercise your right to vote. It's more important than ever. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Let's go now to Maryland State Treasurer Nancy Kopp.
Thank you, Owen, and thank you, Jim and Eric, for bringing us together. It's a great pleasure for me to, at this point, endorse and pledge the next months working for Joe Biden. There is nothing more important before us now than that Joe get elected president, a man the world can respect and honor, a man we know who represented and represents our neighbor, Delaware and Pennsylvania, for years. But the reason I say it's a pleasure for me to do it now is that I didn't come in with Joe. I had another dream a year ago and supported Senator Warren. But I am absolutely sure that all of my friends and colleagues who are so concerned about the future of this nation, about their families, about their grandchildren, about their community, about their environment, are together now, working now for the next day, every day until November. But first, we get through June, and we'll see how we do with a mail-in election. And then we'll have to come together and really, really work hard and really work coherently across the state and in other states to make sure that we win this election. I can't imagine a more important or critical election. I can't imagine and don't want to imagine what this world will be for our children and our communities if we don't win. We have to win. We'll all work together and we will win. As Hillary Clinton said, we are stronger together. Thanks so much for being here, and let's go, Joe.
Thank you so much. Let's turn now to Congressman David Trone.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Jim, for putting this call together, and thanks for all the work you've done. Joe Biden is clearly the person we need in the White House right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Joe's a uniter. He can unite this country. During a global pandemic, we not only need to unite the United States, we need to unite the world. We've all got to be pulling together, and that's what Joe can do. He's had that experience. He's done it before. He can step right in, day one, job ready. Not a person that says, let the governors figure that out. That's their problem. This is a national, world, global pandemic. We need a leadership in the White House. Joe ready for that. Accepts responsibility, sits back, gets a new plan, executes, and we move forward as a country. But Joe also has compassion for those that are struggling. Joe has civility. We see none of that in the current public discourse right now. Working together, one team, Team America. And of course, Joe brings competence. We certainly have none of that now. So compassion, civility, competence, focus on the most important issues behind COVID. And that's Joe's got a plan for day one for the mounting mental crisis we have in America. We already had an big crisis. On top of that, we have COVID. On top of that, we have the financial meltdown. So we've got to really get focused on a mental health crisis here. And of course, the substance use disorder crisis that's claimed 140,000 lives in the last 2 years. Joe has a plan to step forward. And this is our chance to reform our criminal justice system. This year, we need to put together a plan. As soon as Joe wins, we can step up and quit being the world's jailer. We should not be jailing 25% of the world's population when we're 4%. And it's never been more important for Marylanders to get out, go to the post office, drop that ballot in the mail, and let's bring home victory. Anything else is unimaginable. Thank you.
Thank you. And I quickly want to point out what Senator Cardin put in the chat, that Senator Mikulski and Congressman Ruppersberger had conflicts and couldn't be on the call, but wanted to express their strong support for Joe Biden. So let's turn next to Congressman John Sarbanes. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. This is John Sarbanes, excited to be on the call with everybody today in support of Vice President Joe Biden to become the next president of the United States. What he has, I think, in ways that nobody else can bring to the table are two things. First, he has clearly the experience. We all recognize that. I don't think there's anybody as experienced who's stepped into this arena in recent memory when you look at Joe Biden. But the other thing he has, which I think is critical in this moment, is he has empathy. Nobody feels the pain of people who are in tough situations more than Joe Biden does. He's demonstrated that his entire life. And we need someone right now who has that empathy, who can understand what people are going through in the midst of this terrible pandemic, not just the health crisis dimension of it, but the economic dislocation that is being visited upon millions of people across the country. Joe Biden sees the unseen. We have been celebrating recently our heroes, people on the front lines, who we don't often see in normal times. But we're lifting them up now because we recognize how critical they are, how important they are to all of us, to the rest of our society. The question is going to be, on the other side of this crisis, will we continue to lift them up? Will we build a new economy that makes sure that we are delivering the wages and benefits, the workplace protections, all the things that can truly respect and salute those who are helping us in this difficult moment? Joe Biden understands that. He's going to build that kind of economy on the other side of this crisis. He'll help lead us through it because he has the empathy, and he'll help us build a better America because he has the experience. So I'm super excited to be part of this team as we head into the June 2nd primary and beyond. Jim Rosapep, thank you for your leadership. And to all my colleagues in government, it's great to be part of this team in support of Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States.
Thank you, Congressman. Let's go now to Baltimore Mayor Jack Young.
Thank you. I don't want to be redundant, but I believe that Joe Biden could unite our country, which has been divided by President Trump. I think he would build our standards around the globe back up, where people can really trust the American president. I think that he would continue some of the things that Barack Obama was doing when he was president. He was the vice president from 2009 up until term limits took, the president couldn't run again. But I think Joe Biden represents the values of the American people. And he is a unifier. He's one that truly understands what it is to be a president. He's not a tweeter, tweeting and getting into things that he have no business getting into. I don't think that he would mess with the FBI and the CIA and call all those departments corrupt and that they're after him. they have a function to do, and he should let them do their functions without any interference. And it's important that Joe Biden win, because we need to make sure that the correct justice get on that Supreme bench that have the morals and values of everyday American people. I'm making calls. I'm asking people who call me and ask me about how to fill out their ballots. I say, number one, don't forget to vote for Joe Biden. Even before I tell them to vote for me, don't forget to vote for Joe Biden. And I believe that Joe Biden will win, and he will become the president of the United States of America. And we all can feel great again that America is leading the world like we always have. Every country that looked up to America, now they are running away from America because we have a president who don't understand how to be president.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's go now to Congressman Anthony Brown.
Hey, thank you very much, Owen. And I can't tell you how much of an honor it is to be on the call today with my colleagues and 200 officials from across Maryland endorsing, demonstrating our support to Joe Biden to be our next president of the United States. The vice president brings a positive, progressive vision for America, and it's resonating across the land. But like John Sarbanes mentioned, Joe Biden is the real deal. He's got qualities that are not possessed by this president. He brings both experience and empathy. Experience, whether it's security, healthcare, job creation. He's fought to protect women's rights, leading on things like the Violence Against Women's Act, fighting for LGBTQ plus issues. Joe is the real deal, but he also has an empathy for working people, for veterans, for communities of color. He understands our dreams, our aspirations, our challenges, and yes, even our frustrations. So in a time like this, in a moment like this, when we face the type of uncertainty brought on by this pandemic, this public health crisis, and economic crisis, we need a steady hand at the helm. We need Joe Biden. This is our moment. He is our leader. He knows us. We know him. I, like everyone on this call, are going to do everything we can over the course of the next several months to make sure that we elect Joe Biden the next president of the United States. So thanks for including me on this call. Looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Go Joe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's now turn to Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski.
Thanks, Owen. It's good to be on with so many of my friends and colleagues across the state here. Thanks to you, as well as Senator Rosapep and Delegate Barron for co-chairing and leading this effort. We are fired up in Baltimore County. We're fired up here in Maryland to help elect Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. I'll just echo everything that our senators and Congress members have said already, but like Mayor Young and County Executive Pittman, we're seeing the impacts of this global pandemic on the front lines. We're seeing what it means for people who are struggling to stay healthy, businesses who are struggling, and when we have a president who doesn't think that states or local governments deserve support, who doesn't think that the federal government should lead on issues like testing, it's clear that we need Joe Biden to be the person to lead our country and this world forward. And so I am thrilled to be endorsing and supporting Joe Biden to be our next president. Like so many others, we'll be doing all that we can to get him over the top and bring stability and safety and sanity back to the White House. So thanks for having us, and let's go team.
Thank you. And before we get to our last speaker, I just want to remind our members of the media who are with us, if you have a question, go ahead and type your name and outlet into the chat box, or you can press the raise your hand button. We're going to get to questions in just a minute. But finally, let's go to County Executive Stuart Pittman.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be honest and say that I had a lot of trouble during this primary figuring out who to support. There were some fantastic candidates, and there was a time where I was really intrigued with Pete Buttigieg, and then later on I really thought Elizabeth Warren was the one, and then I started to watch the way the voters responded, and when Joe Biden surged, it occurred to me that what was really going on was that this was about trust. And, you know, I have always believed that the most important thing a leader can do is to instill trust. And at this moment, we need trust in government. There's been a real effort to divide people from government, turn people against government. And you know, Joe Biden has built that trust, and it's clear. I feel it. I think others feel it. And here we are in this moment where we're going to be, hopefully by election time, working our way out of this pandemic. And it's going to be time to rebuild our economy and to build back better. And Barack Obama asked Joe Biden to lead the last cleanup of the economic mess when the Obama administration came in. And Joe did that, and he did that well. And we need Joe leading this economic recovery because he understands that you build an economy from the bottom up, and that we really do need some structural changes so that the next crisis that comes along, we don't have so many people living paycheck to paycheck without health insurance and without the basic needs in this country. And he gets that, he feels that, and I trust, and I think the American people trust that this is the guy that can then bring this country back together again.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody who took time out of their busy schedules to join us. We're going to go to questions and answers now. So if you have a question, please raise your hand or type it in chat. You can also email us at bidenformaryland2020@gmail.com, or you can text it directly to me. My cell phone is 408-234-6948. Yeah, any questions? Anybody? Type your name in the chat or raise your hand. Okay, well, if not, then we're going to send it back to Jim Rosapep to wrap us up.
Thanks for everyone for joining us today. The Democratic Party in Maryland and the United States has never been more united than it is today. I think there's two reasons for that. Donald Trump, as we've seen today, Joe Biden. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everybody.